Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about the valuation secret. It's basically going to be about polynomials and rational functions, and we're going to talk about how both of those play a role in the world of finance and business. They'll help us understand how math plays a key role in helping us understand if a business is going to be a gold mine or if it's going to be a money pit. So, you guys know about Shark Tank? So let's think about it. How does Shark Tank decide if a company is going to be worth $1 million, right? They're not just guessing. If they're guessing, they were not going to be able to decide if it's going to be worth a lot. They're using polynomials. So basically in Precalc, we can see polynomials expressed as ax squared plus bx plus c, like this example right over here. So what does this mean in the world of finance though? In finance, these terms represent a cash flow over time. Have you ever wondered in math, like, when am I ever going to use this in the real world? Why am I learning this? This is so useless. Well, today we're going to use algebra to see if a business can be a gold mine or if it's just going to be a money pit. So, when a company makes money over several years, right, we cannot just add the money up. Because of inflation, $100 of today is worth way more than $100 of next year. We can discount the future money using a variable called x equals 1 over 1 plus r, shown over here. Now, what does this mean though? So in finance, we use the discount rate r to represent the loss value. And what does x mean? The variable x is the shrinkage factor. So say, for example, if x equals 0.90, right, 0.9, it just means the money has lost its worth only around by 90% of what it is today. But now, say a business makes C$1 in year 1, C$2 in year 2, and C$3 in year 3. This is the net present value, or NPV, and it's also expressed as a polynomial. The equation goes like p of x equals C0 plus C1x plus C2x squared and plus C3x cubed. Don't worry, I'll explain what all of this means. So what does C even mean? C means cash flow. So think of C0 as a negative number. It's usually a negative number, right? So it's the cash that we spend today to start the business, like the equipment. So since it's happening right now, it hasn't shrunk by X. What does C1 mean though? It's basically the profit that we make in the first year multiplied by the X to account for 1 year's worth of shrinkage. What does C2x squared mean? It's the profit of 2 years multiplied by X squared because of 2 years worth of shrinking. And C3x cubed is basically just the same logic as C1x and C2x squared. Now, in Precalc, we find the zeros and roots, right, in a polynomial. In finance, finding the root is where p of x equals 0. This gives us the initial rate of return. So think of it, the initial rate of return is also known as IRR. So think of the IRR as a maximum interest rate that we could pay on a loan to fund a project without losing our own money. So say, for example, that we borrow money at 10% to start a business, and the project's IRR is at 15%. So that means we're making a profit or a spread of 5%. But now think of what happens if the IRR was only 8%, right? We'd be losing money every single year because our cost of debt is higher than the project's initial return. Now, let's imagine that we're creating our own custom shoe business. We have fixed costs like $5,000 for a 3D printer and variable costs for $50 per shoe. Our total cost comes out to be 50x plus 5,000. But you see, this is a linear function. Now that we're talking about rational functions, what is a rational function? Right? A rational function is basically a function that's represented in fraction form, like f of x equals p of x over q. Don't worry, I have an example for it all over here. But now, going back to the business, right? Our total cost is C of x equals 50x plus 5,000. But that's linear, right? So now our average cost per shoe is a rational function, which is C of x equals 50x plus 5,000 all over x. And we also have our example of a rational function right here. In Precalc, we also learn about horizontal asymptotes. How is this useful though, right? So in business, the horizontal asymptote is y equals 50. I'll explain how we get that. So basically, to get the horizontal asymptote, there are multiple ways, but the easiest way is we got to take the leading coefficient of the numerator and the leading coefficient of the denominator and divide them by each other, right? So since the leading coefficient of the numerator is 50 and the leading coefficient of the denominator is 1, we got to divide 50 by 1, right? So 50 divided by 1, what is that? It's 50. So the horizontal asymptote for our function here is y equals 50. So what does this mean though? It means that no matter how many shoes we ever make, our cost will never drop below $50. But also, if we understand the end behavior of the rational function, it'll also help us understand and it'll tell us the maximum profit margin that the business will ever make. So now, why do most businesses fail? They fail because they just don't understand their rational functions. They have high fixed costs and they don't realize they need to sell X amount of units to make their average cost close to that asymptote. Now, we all think during school that math is just about passing this test. We need to get the A, we just got to pass it and we'll be done with it. But no, it's the difference between understanding if a business can scale up or one that's going to go bust, right? Math is very fundamental in the field of finance and business. We can also use the polynomials to predict the future of a business and use the rational function to master our cost. But I have one question for you guys. Have you guys ever used math to calculate any money matters? Have you used math to figure out anything with finance? Please let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Thank you.